Almost caught us.
All right, we're live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangout. This is episode 173, and it is the 28th of February, 2018. We're going to get right into it today. Say hi to everybody real quick, and then we've got some great information. And then, of course, we're going to jump into questions. So I'm just going to go down how I see people on the list. But real quick, I just wanted to say a shout out. Anybody who's in Colorado, please let us know. I got my Colorado hat on today. Got some family out there and was thinking about it today. So let me know. Type in a comment. Let me know where you're at. But Chris, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Glad to be here. Good day.
Hernan, how about yourself, man?
I'm good, man. I'm pumped. Actually. I just had a really good conversation with one of the mastermind members. He has been a mastermind member for a while, but he decided to finally take the onboarding call. And it was a lot of good stuff. I mean, he had this info product and he wanted to make a podcast. So I kind of advised him on how to get the more leverage out of his stuff, and he was really, really happy. We went through the whole overarching theme for the funnel and whatnot, so it was really good. So if you guys are on the fence about joining the mastermind, that's one of the perks that you get to talk to us, for a full 30 minutes. You get to talk to us a lot more, but that's like the onboarding call, and you can get to ask questions, and we kind of put you on the right track so you can focus and grow your business. So I'm pretty pumped.
And it gives us an opportunity to get to know a new incoming mastermind member a bit. For many months and years, actually, we had new members come in and we would just converse or chat with them in the group itself, like via text. And now this is we get to know our members a lot better on a much more like personal level. And it helps to create goodwill, and it gives us a better understanding of people's businesses so we can help in those areas, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Got to unmute myself. Good deal. All right. Marco, how about yourself? How you doing, man?
Working on POFU, always.
Outstanding. We're going to have to start linking that occasionally in Hump Day Hangouts. I don't know. We might keep that for the mastermind.
No, it's already on there.
Awesome. I didn't check. My bad. Oh, Bradley, how you doing, man?
Hi, guys. Happy to be here. We got lots of questions already, so we don't have a lot of time to chit-chat.
Well, I wanted to say real quick before we get into it that I wanted you to share real quick about Local PR Pro and kind of where that came from, because I've been telling people, I've been sending out some emails, and we've been putting it on social media. Today is the last day that people can get in because we start the training tomorrow. So they can, not the last day they can absolutely get in, but the last day that they can get 50% off. So I'll put that information on the page, but I just wanted people who are watching to be aware. If you join before we start the training, you can get 50% off. But then tomorrow it's going up once the training started. So if you want to kind of fill people in some more on that stuff.
Sure. So Local PR Pro, those of you that have already joined, in just a moment, I'll switch screens, guys, right before we jump into questions, and I'll show you. I've already started adding some content, the written content, because this is basically pre-sale. I developed some working procedures and I've taken a lot of notes and stuff over the last several months, and so is the co-creator of RYS Reloaded with Marco, Rob. He did a lot of testing with me too, and he provided his notes, which were fabulous. And so there's a lot of written content that will be, I started uploading it already. I've still got some more to add, which I'll have done tomorrow before the webinar. And then tomorrow we start recording the actual training via webinar. And this is the first time we're doing a training program in this format. Ben Atkins does it all the time, and I think it's genius. And also it's just this way we get to handle questions and everything right up front instead of me trying to jam everything into what I think you guys are going to need, if that makes sense. So we're going to do the first webinar tomorrow. The opportunity for this course, where does the opportunity lie? Well, with the Local PR Pro, what I've been doing for months is ranking sites, even one-page WordPress sites. They could be HTML, it doesn't matter what they are, but single one-page sites I've been getting ranked in the 3-pack using press releases alone. Now, press releases combined with the other stuff that we do, like Syndication Academy, Drive Stacks, blogging through the syndication networks, all of that stuff, citation building, all that stuff will help you to get much faster results. But I've proven time and time again, about 90% success rate, that I've been able to get into the 3-pack using nothing but press releases alone. I mean, and that's no BS, just press releases. And so over the many months that I've been testing this across at least 15 different projects, again, about a 90% success rate, I've been able to accomplish it every single time, over 90% of the time, get into the 3-pack. And there's some interesting stuff that occurs after about 90 days or so. I'm not going to get into that here. It's going to be covered in the training, but it's all really valid data. And that's why it took me so long to launch this course, was because I wanted to see long-term what the effect was going to be. And there's some anomalies, there's some things that you have to do to keep the rankings. But again, it's all stuff that we're going to cover. So the benefit of the course itself is the fact that you can get first page rankings if you're doing local, and even with just a single one-page site, which is amazing, because think about how much work we put into on-page stuff and building silos and all that. And by the way, don't not do that stuff. Continue doing all that stuff, guys. If the better your on page, the better your site structure, the quicker or the better results you're going to have from less off-page work. So what I'm getting at is, if you have a site that's built really well, optimized well, it's got proper structure, all of that, and you hit it with just a couple press releases, you're likely to be able to rank in the 3-pack for that. So I wanted to see how powerful press releases alone could be for ranking. And that's why I tested with various one-page websites. I even ranked Google sites in the Maps 3-pack, guys, using just press releases. So I didn't even have to create my own domain or anything. So it works really, really well. So you get first page rankings rather quickly. Some projects, guys, depending on the level of competition, I've been able to get in a 3-pack with as little as 2 press releases. No shit. I mean, brand new Google My Business listing, guys, like stuff that has been verified under 30 days. And I've been able to get in a 3-pack and with 2 press releases. Results are not typical. I'm not saying you all are going to get those results, but if for more competitive stuff, usually within 5 or 6 press releases, I'm able to get into the 3-pack. So it's a range between 2 and 6 typically to get results. So if the rankings from the press releases are what I was going for initially, but there's a lot of side benefits that come from it. Like example, more traffic. It's an easy sell to clients because they see the the benefit and the branding potential from these press releases as well. Plus they get to use, you all know, if you go to LinkedIn, you see those, and anybody that's using this, I don't want to offend you, so please don't take offense, but that uses those like as seen on Fox and NBC thing on their profile picture, which I think is dumb, but a lot of people like that. A lot of people like to use that as an authority builder, and business owners, local, like I probably think it's dumb because I'm sick of seeing it. I've been in this industry for so long. But a lot of business owners, local business owners, they see that as like a status symbol type thing. And so that's something that they could actually do if their published press releases get published on things like Fox and ABC and NBC, and they do through the syndication partners, the distribution partners. So it's easy results for clients that they can see as high perceived value. It is a very valuable service, something that you can do. And one of the things and I know I'm going long on this, but it's a really good course, and I really encourage you all to try it or to take it. People typically stay away from press releases because they don't know how to write them. I recommend in the course, don't freaking write them. Don't do it. Most of the press release distribution services have writing services now, where you can just give them some bullet points like who, what, when, where, why, and how, and maybe a quote to use. And then they'll write the press release for you, which is what I suggest. I don't write my press releases anymore. I used to have a writer that would write them, but that was an added, she would write them, and then I would submit them to the press release distribution, and it would have to go through their editorial approval. And it was it would be longer. It would take longer and more steps in between the order and the publishing of it. So I stopped using my own press release writer and just started using whatever press release writers are part of the distribution service I'm using. And I use multiple distribution services, guys. It's not just what we have inside of ServiceSpace. I've been real transparent about that. People say it's expensive. It's not really, considering the results you get. I mean, think about it, guys. You're either investing time or money or both in getting results for yourself or for your clients. And so if you can just pay for press releases that are written by the distribution service and have them do all the work, and all you got to do is submit a few details, and then is it really too expensive? No, because you've saved all you've saved all that time and all the other money that you would have spent in building all the other stuff. I'm not saying don't do that other stuff. I'm just saying it's a very effective and quick results type thing that you can do. Again, people say they don't know how to get results. Well, we're going to, in the local PR course, local PR pro course, there's going to be multiple methods there on how to get results. I've tested what I call a PR stacking method. I tested that extensively. I've got several different stack variations that I'm going to cover. Rob, he did a lot of like, he's an unapologetic spammer. He's like Marco's long lost brother from another mother or whatever. And he just hits the primary website, the money site, plus some of the other tier 1 properties over and over and over again with press releases, and he got similar results. So there's variations to be able to get results, guys. It's not like a cookie cutter thing that you repeat that's going to become saturated. Does that make sense? There's so many possibilities with the configurations on how you stack PRs or how you use them that really I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to become oversaturated anytime soon. So I just want to reiterate, it's a course that I've been working on, this method I've been working on since I think about June of 2017. So we're looking at like, 8 or 9 months, and it's been incredibly effective. Now it's just standard operating procedure for every project that I work on. So I would highly recommend that you guys check it out. If you're doing any sort of local, this is strictly for local stuff, guys. You can use PRs for affiliate and all that other kind of stuff, but this course is designed specifically for ranking local properties. So check it out. We start training tomorrow. It's your last opportunity to get it at this price.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks appreciate you filling in. I know it's good for people to hear some of this too, because I've heard some of those questions. I personally am not as experienced with using press releases. So like, this is some cool stuff that I'm going to be personally going through. Like, this is just some good stuff to know for me. And then, that's a reason that I stayed away was, I always thought, yeah, these are got to be just a pain in the butt. There's got to be a reason that I haven't been using those. But anyways, without getting too far into that, do you any more from you guys? Anything else we need to cover, or should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do this, man.
All right.
All right. So I'm just going to show the inside of the dashboard real quick, guys, just to show you like 2 of the lessons. So this is one of them here. This is lesson 1. And you can see, I mean, it's a lot of content, guys, and I've went through this. So, it's written out. There's a lot of step-by-step in there, basic working procedure stuff. These are like how I write up my working procedures, guys, when I'm writing, to train VAs how to do stuff. So it's laid out in a very logical fashion. And then obviously the video portion is going to be coming. I've got a couple more things to add for tomorrow, before the webinar starts. But other than that, it's ready to go. And we're going to spend, at least 90 minutes, probably closer to 2 hours on the webinar. So those of you that do join, if you have questions, make sure you attend, because I want to try to answer everything that we can through the webinar. And then it's likely that we're going to end up having a follow-up webinar to a second one at some point. Okay, so let's get right into it. Mohammed's first, as usual. What's up, Mohammed? He got in here right away. So he says, hey, guys, what's the best way to let a prospect know that I'm talking to multiple people and I'm only choosing one? Do I just put it bluntly? You either accept this price or go to your competitor. Here's what happened. I might be able to sell one guy on Thursday after a few weeks of correspondence, but the day after I'm talking to his competitor and I want to see what comes of that. In the event that the Thursday guy agrees, how can I tell him I'm also waiting for the Friday guy? The Friday seems like the better client, but the Thursday guy is at a later stage of the selling process. I don't want the Thursday guy to get offended if I say I have to wait till the other guy makes his offer. Can I have my cake and eat it too? Yeah, that's kind of tricky. I mean, as far as telling people that you're speaking with that this offer's been made to their competitors or to other people in that, their area and they're in that same industry, I have no problem with doing that. In fact, I work with contractors mostly, and that they respond well to that. So I make it a point to point that out, usually. Okay. So, but as far as what you're talking about, like with you've got, let's see, on Thursday, one guy on Thursday, I might be able to sell the one guy on Thursday. I would make the proposal, and then, if he makes a decision right there on the spot, I don't know what to tell you about that other than, you'd have to be honest with him. I mean, if you really want to wait until Friday, I'm not sure that I would do that. I might make the proposal to him on Friday or excuse me, on Thursday and present the proposal to him and then see if he makes a decision on the spot. I wouldn't push for a decision on the spot if I wanted to also make the proposal on Friday to the other person. So I wouldn't push for a close on Thursday. I might present the proposal, but not push for a close. However, if he decides to accept your offer on Thursday, then you would, in my opinion, you have to be honest at that point if you want to at least make the proposal on Friday and choose the better of the two. Now you run the risk of pissing him off. Don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, honesty is always the best policy in this kind of stuff. Unless you are just willing to accept, if he accepts your proposal on Thursday, just accept that as, done, the final consequence. That's really up to you. I'd love to hear what my partners have to say about it. But personally with me, I would make the proposal on Thursday. Chances are he's not, I mean, at least in my experience, a lot of the times when I make a proposal, it takes the person that I've pitched it to, at least 24 hours to make a decision. And typically at that point, I'll put on it, like, hey, this offer is only good for the next 72 hours. And that's typically when I will present or make a comment about that same offer being presented to others. Does that make sense? So usually when I present a proposal, I will tell somebody at the end of it that, like, hey, listen, this offer is good for the next 72 hours or the next 3 business days or whatever it may be, 5 days, whatever you're comfortable with. But then I say, but keep in mind, I've also made this same proposal or presented this same proposal to, and I'll list the competitors that I even offered it to sometimes, because then it's real to them because they recognize the competitors' names. And usually that's if I want to get them to make a decision rather quickly. I'll push that. But in your case, I might not do that. I might just say, look, here's the proposal. Take a day to think about it and get back with me tomorrow afternoon by 5 p.m. or something like that. And that might buy you some time. But if he says right off the bat, yeah, like, let's go for it, then you either have to be honest about, like, all right, well, I'm going to hold off on signing you until after tomorrow, or you just accept that and then cancel on the other guy the following day. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I see a problem with him possibly losing both. He tells the Thursday guy. He tells the Thursday guy, okay, look, think it over, get back to me by Thursday afternoon before close of business, and we'll go from there so he can talk to the Friday guy. Now the Friday guy says no, and then the Thursday guy gets 24 hours to think about it and decides no. Well, he just lost 2.
Yeah. Well, he probably would have lost the Thursday guy anyway at that point, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if the Thursday guy is ready to close on Thursday, and he's hoping for the Friday guy, but what do they say? A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree with Marco on this case. I would close the deal as soon as possible, because that way you're securing a potential, you're securing a client. Even if you're charging a little bit less. That's what I would do personally. And, if you're really interested in moving ahead with these guys, I would be honest and say, hey, I only take 1. So if you want to grab it, if you want to grab this deal, you need to do it now, because otherwise I'm talking with some other prospects. And this is like buying a used car, right? Like first come, first serve. It is what it is. Like you may like it. You may say to the vendor, hey, save it for me. But the guy that comes with the money is the guy that takes it. So it's an opportunity cost.
And just to give this a little bit more depth, and just so people know, Mohammed is new and he's trying to close clients. If money is not an issue, if you can wait them out, then by all means you go for whoever's gonna pay the most money. But I mean, if you're looking to close clients, grow your business, then go where if the Thursday thing is sure. There's no sense in letting go of a sure thing for a Friday guy that might or might not happen.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense at this point in your career. Later on, when you take whoever you feel like taking, because you like the guy, you get a good report, the money's great, whatever it is, that's different. At this point in your career, things they're a little bit different.
Yeah, and I mean that was what I was getting at. If you make the proposal on Thursday and you don't push for a decision at that moment, if he decides and says that he wants to proceed after you've made the proposal, then like I said, that's going to be your call. I agree with both Hernan and Marco that if he accepts your proposal at that point, then you need to make the decision. And in my opinion, Mohammed, especially because unless you've got like some gut feeling about the guy that doesn't sit well with you, in which case all of what we just said is in my opinion, is like, you know, shoot for the guy on Friday instead, because I know to trust my gut. Just so you know, I've learned that over the years. If, you know, I've chased dollars from clients before, just even though I had a funny feeling that they were going to be a pain in the ass to work with, but I needed the money. So I would go ahead and proceed with the project anyways. And then it always has bit me in the ass. Like, I've always ended up regretting those, whenever I've ignored that gut feeling and just chased the money, I've always regretted it. And it's always ended up being a pain in the ass and not worth the trouble or the money that, you know, that came with it. So again, if it's one of those things, and that's kind of what I was getting from your question, because you said, I feel like the guy on Friday is going to be the better client. So if you've got a funny gut feeling about the dude on Thursday, then you may want to try to push him off a bit. But again, it's all about what do you need in your business at this moment? Like, what's the most important? You know, what's your priority? If your priority is to get revenue in the door and the guy accepts on Thursday, then I'd take the damn proposal. You know what I mean? So it's a great question. Again, it is a tricky situation that you're going to put yourself in. I like the fact that Marco just mentioned, you know, once you're a little bit more further along with your business, you can be more selective, right? You can wait it out on these types of things, which is why we've been telling you guys, make sure you keep your pipeline full of prospects, because that way you can be selective like that, right? But when you're first getting your business off the ground, guys, if you need revenue in the door, sometimes you got to just, you know, just do it. So
yeah, we all went through this, Mohammed. So I love your hustle, man. I really do. I respect that, because you're definitely in the right path. So we've been all through this. We've had to take shitty clients, or not shitty clients, but low paying clients initially, until you're in a position that you can afford to wait a little bit. And the gut feeling thing, oh man, that's something that I don't pay a lot of attention to. And I just had a client that cost me around 15 grand because I didn't pay attention to that gut feeling that the guy was going to be a pain in the ass. Anyways, yeah, so pay attention to that too.
Yeah, every time I've ignored that gut feeling, man, it's always cost me time and money, and just provided a lot of headache, you know. So by the way, guys, just so you know, well, Mohammed, you're in the mastermind, so you're going to see it anyways, but I started really prospecting again hard for Contractor Media, our contractor agency, and this week, and I've got a whole bunch of new kinds of prospecting campaigns that I'm developing this week, and we start really hard next week. And you guys in the mastermind are going to get to witness every bit of it. And I'm going to be testing multiple prospecting methods, both the mass emailing, which I have been doing for the last couple of months. Our sales process sucked though, and also video lead gen system, so more the targeted prospecting approach. I'm going to be doing several tests of those over the next couple of weeks too. I've got various campaigns that I planned out this week, and I'm actually setting everything up, the infrastructure for that now, and we're going to be hitting it hard next week. So you guys in the mastermind will get to see all that. Those of you that aren't in the mastermind, now would be a really good time to join. So anyways, number 2, when I phone someone who opened my email but never clicked, I tell them to watch it. They say yes, but they also ask what I want or what my goal is. I say I want them to watch the video, but they know I want more than that. What's the best way to answer this? Well, tell them that you've got some things that you found about, you know, I'm not sure what it is that you're selling exactly, Mohammed. But what I would just do is tell them, like, that you've pointed some things out. You're providing some suggestions on how to improve their digital presence or whatever, their presence online or their branding or whatever it is that you're selling. I would just say, look, it's too hard to explain over the phone. I would rather you just watch the video. I took the time to record a video for you. It's short, you know, it's under 10 minutes, but it will explain and will show you with visual aids what I'm talking about and how you can improve your marketing. That's what I want you to do. Just all I'm asking you to do is watch the video about your marketing or about your digital presence. And then if it's worth a conversation, if you feel like discussing it a little bit more, then contact me back after you've had a chance to watch it. So that you're not being pushy at all. You're being vague enough to tell them to go watch the video because you can't really explain it over the phone without visual aids anyways. That's a true statement, right? So again, it's about being honest. And so just say, look, I made some suggestions and some things that I pointed out that can help your digital presence right now. And you know, I took the time to record this video. Give them a guilt trip. You know, I took the time to record this video for you. I'm not asking you for any money. I'm just asking you to check out the video and then reply to me if you'd like to have a conversation about it. That's how I handle that kind of stuff. Again, I'm curious as to what the other guys do.
Yeah, I totally agree with being honest. Like, you're actually providing value, you know, because you're actually taking the time of going through their website, you know, their SEO, if they have reputation issues, whatever you're doing, you're actually providing a lot of value for free. So it's basically saying, hey, you know, I just recorded this free video telling you what I would do in your case to get more clients. You know, just frame it like that, be completely honest, and chill, like Bradley was saying, just super chill. It's just, you know, nothing to sell at that point, because the reality is that you're not selling, you're leading with value, you know?
That's right. You're building rapport. And that's what, you know, that's the whole point. You know, it's important to explain that, because, you know, in the video lead gen system, Mohammed, I state very clearly that you should be providing value in that outreach video. You know, that's the point of the video, because you're setting yourself apart. And I know you do, Mohammed. This is for everybody else's benefit. But what I'm saying is those types of targeted emails, video emails, are supposed to separate you from all the shit that they get on a regular basis in their inbox, right? All the crappy marketing solicitation messages that they get from contractors in India and things like that. You know what I mean? And no offense to anybody in India, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, this is what separates you from all the other spam solicitation, is the fact that you've taken the time to analyze their property and provide them real value, even if it's just something small, right? And get them thinking. And that's what that the whole video lead gen system is about building rapport. And that's what this does. And by the way, one other thing, I just mentioned all this prospecting stuff that I'm going to be doing. So everything that I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks, that has to do with like the video emails, and I got this really awesome video email app right now that I just got access to on Friday last week, that I can't talk about what it is just yet, but it is freaking fabulous. I'm blown away by how cool this app is. And that's why I started setting up all these campaigns this week for doing the video email system instead of just the mass email stuff, because this video email system is incredibly powerful. So anyways, I'm going to be testing all that stuff, and my data and my results are going to also be added to the video lead gen system training. So the mastermind members will get it, and the video lead gen system members will get that as well. So if you can't join the mastermind, you might want to pick up the video lead gen system, those of you that are prospecting, because all this stuff is going to be shared in there in the upcoming weeks. And I really expect to have some good results from this. This new app is going to make it awesome. It's not just the tool though, guys. You got to have a good approach. And that's why I'm going to be trying several different approaches this week, or over the next couple of weeks, excuse me, so that, you know, we can find one that really works, or find a couple of them and start tweaking them. All right. So again, another good reason. By the way, if you join the mastermind, you get video lead gen system included for free. So there you go. Wayne says, hi guys, I have a prospect that manages various hotel restaurants and bars throughout a major city. All of their properties under management are listed on their website and in various blog posts. How would you go about ranking different properties under one management domain? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm sorry, Wayne, if I'm not really fully understanding. Even if you had like a property management group, I can't imagine each one of the separate hotel, restaurants, and bars not having their own separate website. And that may be the case. It seems odd to me, but if that's the case, then they should at least have their own unique landing pages, right? On the management domain, right? They should each have their own dedicated page on the domain, in which case that would be their company page or their landing page, right? And then, so in that case, you can just promote that as if it were a standalone site or page.
Yeah, you might want to dig a little. Oh, sorry, you might want to dig a little deeper too, Wayne, and see if they do have their own, even if it's a one-page type of site. Like maybe they haven't shared it with you. I might do a little digging on this. Yeah,
because I mean, again, usually they should still. I mean, I'm sure there's circumstances that I haven't seen, right? And this may be one of them. But typically, even if they're on like somebody, you know, a property management or whatever website, then they should probably have their own landing page or dedicated page for each one of those bars and restaurants or whatever. I would suspect that they would. And then you can just use that as like the money site URL for each one of those businesses. For example, if you were going to be building citations, You could actually use that that URL, that specific URL to that landing page for that business as the money site URL with its phone number and the address and all that. That should all be unique, right? Because think about it, like, guys, you can have multiple locations, physical locations, all on one domain, right? Each domain, like, for example, you know, we talk about using subdomains all the time, creating like, I always like to name the subdomain after the city and doing it that way if I'm creating a multi-location business. However, you can do it with landing pages. So it can be an inner page. It would just be a dedicated page for each location. And in your Google My Business dashboard, when you add your URL for that location, you make sure that you copy that specific location page URL. So it wouldn't be the root domain. It would be that inner page as the actual money site URL for that location. That's perfectly fine. Google accepts that. There's no problem with that. So that's one way that you could do it. And, you know, if they don't have their own dedicated pages, their own dedicated websites, and they don't have their own dedicated pages on the management domain, I would approach the management company and ask that that gets done. In other words, that they each get their own dedicated page so that you can use it as just mentioned. Okay. That's kind of an interesting question. If you could clarify that a little bit further, we might be able to help a little bit more. Gordon says, hey guys, I have 3 quick and related questions. I need your help. Okay. Is it better to use an expired age domain with decent metrics for a local lead gen site to get its built-in SEO juice, or to use a brand new geographical or business niche targeted domain with the aged expired domain 301 redirected to the new domain? That's your call, Gordon. Personally, I would prefer to use a new domain and do a 301 redirect from it, only if it was topically relevant, though. Would I even bother with that anymore? I don't buy domains anymore, guys, to redirect for metric purposes. I just don't do it anymore. It has to be about relevancy. If it's not relevant, I just don't do it. Period. End of story. And I know there's other people out there that will argue that with me. That's fine. Do what you do. I'm going to do what I do. And what I do is always about relevancy, because that is the way the algorithm has shifted, and it's going to continue to shift in that direction, guys. It's not about metrics. It's about relevancy. Authority, relevancy, and trust, right? Like ART, that's what Marco always says, and that's honest to God's truth. So again, you can still manipulate metrics and achieve some results, but it's becoming less and less effective, and it will continue to become less effective. So to answer your question, Gordon, I prefer setting up and branding new, starting from scratch. So if you want to manipulate metrics a bit, and you can find a good topically related or relevant site, expired domain, preferably from within the same location, right? Geographic region, then absolutely just 301 redirect it. If it's not topically relevant or geographically relevant, or preferably both, then you can always redirect that domain through a buffer site, and that's still valid too, guys. And a buffer site could even be something as simple as an HTML one-page site hosted on Amazon S3 bucket. In fact, I don't remember if it was, where did I do the ad ID training? Was that Mastermind, or was that in Syndication Academy? I think that was Mastermind, wasn't it? I can't remember. I think that was the Mastermind newsletter. Anyways, ad ID pages.
You gave that away in Syndication Academy. I'm still mad about that.
I don't think that was Syndicate. That was the
ad ID and the loop and all that stuff.
No, ad ID was Mastermind. It was newsletter, because the Syndication Academy thing was the Pearl Trees thing. So
yeah, anyway. with the subwoofer, ad ID, and all that, it was all included.
Okay. Well, anyways, as far as that, you could use something like that, like do a 301 redirect to like an Amazon page or something, and an ad ID page would be a really good place to do that, where you could redirect the 301 domain to something like that. Okay. Okay, number 2, if I'm using an expired age domain for local lead gen site, is it more effective to reconstruct the original pages of the content from the age domain and then add the new geo and niche targeted pages you want to rank for, or just use the domain with the new pages only? Well, I mean, there's benefit to recreating those old pages. Well, you could do some analysis to determine that. So for example, if you did like an analysis on the domain, the age domain, and there were pages that had, you know, particularly high amount or good quality links pointing to it, then it'd be beneficial to either recreate those pages or just redirect that URL, which is what you could do. I typically don't rebuild those pages, guys, unless I'm building like what we used to call PBNs, but when I was rebuilding age domains with the content from the that I could pull back from the Wayback Machine, I would rebuild those specifically just to point links to whatever my target pages were or target sites were. If that makes sense. If I'm rebuilding on an age domain for a money site, I would not rebuild the old pages. I would redirect the URLs from those old pages to the pages that I wanted on the new site, but I would not rebuild those old pages. If you did rebuild the old pages, I would set them to no index, no index follow, and then you could still place a link from within those old pages to where you wanted, or set a canonical tag. That's something else you could do. But I would set those pages to no index if you're going to rebuild those. That's your call, Gordon. You could just get away with redirects at that point. If there were pages on that age domain that were ranking really well and all that, then there's some benefit to do that to recreate those. But I would still probably set them to no index because it really wouldn't make sense under the new brand, right? So, by the way, guys, SEO juice passes through no index pages, just so you know. All right. Number 3, if I buy an age expired domain with decently high DA and trust phone numbers to use for a local lead gen site, here's more metric stuff. And I buy another similar expired age domain, a little bit older, or use it for permanent 301 direct to the first domain. Well, the first domain increases DA. Yeah, but again, I mean, you can play with those metrics, man, but it's not that your time and money is better spent on other things, in my opinion, guys. I mean, we stopped the whole DA trust flow manipulation stuff well over a year ago, if not closer to 2 years ago. So, yeah, you can manipulate metrics by redirecting and stuff like that. Trust flow, a little bit more tougher a little bit harder to manipulate than domain authority. Domain authority is easy to manipulate, right? That's super simple. Set up a subdomain on a domain and just spam the shit out of it with GSA. You can pump DA that way, right? I mean, there's a ton of things you can do to pump DA, but it's not that powerful. It's not that beneficial to do so anymore. It was 4 years ago, 4 and 5 years ago. That's what we used to do, and it worked like crazy. Not so much anymore. Okay. Good questions though. Peter from Poland. Huh. In building out a content silo for realtors, I see many agents have a blog and then separate pages for communities with MLS IDX feed. Okay. When I run SEM Rush, they're not ranking for any real estate related organic keywords, just ranking for the blog keywords, which have nothing to do with real estate. What's the best way to build out these content silos? Their visual sitemap is a cluster F. Okay. I don't know, because I don't do anything with realtor stuff. I just found them to be a headache to work with. So I just stopped working with realtors several years ago. I really couldn't give you a strong answer on that. I know we have some people on our mastermind that deal with exclusively in the real estate industry that could probably help you with that, Peter, but that's not going to help you here. And I apologize for that. Anybody have an answer for him?
I'm trying to think. The reality is that I would treat it as a regular, a regular website, right? Because he's saying that just ranking for the blog keywords, which have nothing to do with real estate. I would start over there, actually. I had one client that had that exact same problem. He was ranking for all of the wrong keywords. So I would start over there, trying to push more content for related keywords, money buying 10 keywords with content, and probably, syndication. And because that would be the main point. I would wonder, like, I'm wondering what they're ranking for, if not for real estate. You need to work on the topic of the website a little bit, because the topic is definitely not there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally agree with Hernan. And again, the caveat that I haven't worked in this niche, I'm not sure, but I would just look at the content. You say they're ranking for the wrong stuff, but what is the content? Should they be ranking or not? Like, go that way. And then, like Hernan said, if they need content, either update or create new content that's going to target the actual keywords. Yeah,
I know there's some things that you can do to build relevancy if you're going to use a complex silo structure, but it can be, again, as the title implies, it can become incredibly complex to do so. But for example, and I know, I think it was Mohammed in the mastermind was asking a question similar to that about using, like, for example, a particular area, right? Like maybe a town that has some big housing developments that are well known, right? So like they're almost like their own municipality. They don't have their own government, but they're just big neighborhoods, right? And so in there, like you could literally like set up a silo for like the county, right? And then set up the subcategory, child page plus subcategory as like that area, right? That housing development. And then from there, you could have in your posts, like doing articles about or blog posts about the various builders and the amenities and things like that. And in your case, since you've got MLS or IDX feed in there, which will pull in listings, I don't know how good you can get with filtering, like what it pulls in, but that way you could literally have only houses within that specific development in that particular silo, if that makes sense. And you could add subcategories for each one of those types of neighborhoods within that county. Now, again, that can become very complex. That could be a lot of content, a lot of pages, guys, a lot of categories and subcategories. Well, not necessarily a lot of categories, but a lot of subcategories, right? So there's a lot of width to a silo there. You guys understand width and depth when it comes to silos, right? So you could add a lot of width to a silo this way, but it would actually, it's logical, right? It would start to build up the overall presence into that county, for example, or city. You could even do it at a city level. My point is there's stuff that you could do there, but again, I don't know, since I don't mess with the MLS anymore, I don't know how good you could get about filtering to where it's only adding data specific to certain like neighborhoods and that kind of stuff. But what I like about that possibility, at least, is the fact that that's dynamically created content. So your pages get updated regularly with new listings. So again, if there's a way that you could structure silos very segregated or compartmentalized like that, then there are some pretty ninja things you could do. But again, the site could become rather complex that way. And that becomes a real pain in the ass to build those kind of sites out, guys. That's why I always recommend sticking with the simple silo structure at all, as much as possible. Okay, because again, you end up spending a lot of time just trying to map out these sites and trying to figure out how. A lot of crazy things happen when you use the complex silo structure, as far as like, especially if you're trying to use physical silo, which shows it in the permalink. If you're going to be doing a complex silo structure with something like that, I recommend sticking with the virtual silo, where you're just using the post name permalink structure, right? Because you end up getting like some real funky stuff going on with the URLs when you do that. So anyways, good question though. Calhoun Marketing Group. What's up, buddy? He says, good afternoon. I will be, yeah, it's Murray. So every time I see your name, dude, I have trouble remembering, but he's rejoining the mastermind tomorrow. That's awesome. Very good. And this is today, actually, he should have rejoined. So he emailed me about it. Nigel, what's up, buddy? He's here every week now too. Super helpful Q&A. Thank you. Can you outline minimum effective WordPress site setup with RSS for IFTTT? Can you outline minimum effective WordPress site setup with RSS for IFTTT? Yeah. Install WordPress, delete the hello world post, add a valid real post, add RSS feed to IFTTT, publish more posts. It's that simple. Like, I don't know what else to say, Nigel. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just don't know what else to say about that.
No, everything else is in Syndication Academy.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you recommend a Fiverr Gig Type, or is it just easy enough for a quick do it yourself? I'm not sure what you mean for that. There are some RSS submission gigs in Fiverr that work really well. That you can like go just do RSS submit. I don't know if that's what you're asking, Nigel, but that's how I'm interpreting it. You can go to Fiverr and type in RSS submission, and you'll see a bunch of providers. Just find somebody that typically has something like, submit to 70 RSS data directories and aggregators. All those people are doing are using a tool like RSS Submit 5, which is great. Let them do that, because it's a pain in the ass tool to use. It's semi-automated, but you still have to like do the captchas and stuff. It's a real pain in the ass. I don't recommend doing it. Just hire it on Fiverr. I've got a VA that does it for me. In fact, he hasn't done it for me in like a year and a half, but I just contacted him this week to start doing it again, and he's going to do it for a project I'm working on with somebody else. So, that's something that you can do on your own, but I highly recommend that you just pay somebody $5 to do it over at Fiverr, because it's stupid. It takes like, a good 30 minutes to sit there and figure out captchas. I don't know that that's what you're asking, but you try it anyways. Is Google site with IFTTT a viable approach for syndication? I don't think so. There's no RSS feed, is there?
Yeah, we do actually produce an RSS feed that goes through FeedBurner, but that's the whole process. It's created by the script.
Oh, okay.
So,
but I'm saying a native Google site
yes,
does not have an RSS feed, does
yes,
it?
Yes, it actually does.
Oh, does it? Okay,
It's
cool.
the announcement pages will give you an RSS feed.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go, Nigel. I didn't know that. Money site or use it as a canonical. You can't use a Google site as a canonical unless you map your own domain to the Google site, in which case the Google site will still remain indexed, and it will still resolve to the Google site. Like you can go to your custom domain and it will show in the address bar when you go the Google site, it will still show your domain, but you can also visit the Google site URL, which will show. And if you do a view page source, you'll see the canonical tag, which points to your domain. That makes sense. Okay. But other than that, the only way you can do a canonical from a Google site is if you map a domain. So it's custom domain mapping. And it's kind of funky setting that up too, guys. I don't know. It's weird. I always struggle doing that when I do it. And the project I was just talking about with somebody else that I'm working on, that we're going to be reinstating the advanced RSS submission stuff. He had a hell of a time getting the domain mapped over from a Google site. So anyways, it's not just me. Apparently it's just a pain in the ass. So just keep that in mind. There are help files online that will show you how to do it, but it's weird. So good luck with that. Okay. So I think you're right, Marco. The ad ID stuff I did talk about in IFTTT. So anyway, or Syndication Academy. Bradley, on webinar promoting Surf Space with Chris, you guys mentioned using the ad ID and schema to point to a subdomain of a local biz site to the permanent home of the schema and other entity validating elements. I'm testing that out now, but I have a question. If previous link building project syndicated out old schema with a different ad ID URL, will the new one with the subdomain ad ID URL create more problems that can outweigh the benefits? It shouldn't, Jay. Well, first of all, are you able to go in and edit or set up a redirect from the old URL that you had as the ad ID to the new one? If you can do that, that would be the easiest fix. If you cannot do that, then the only other option that I know of would be to go manually edit. But if you say that it's been syndicated out, then chances are that's going to be, not possible. It's not a viable option. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. What I think is the most important, and again, I don't have any data to validate this. This is just my assumption, right? This is speculation. But the most important places for the ad ID is on the money site itself, right? So the schema on the money site itself, which points over to the ad ID to validate the entity, right? That's where it's the most important. In my opinion, I haven't tested that, but that's because it's the bot comes and reads that page, right? The money site, and it sees the ad ID and it goes and it references that URI to validate the data that it sees on the money site. Does that make sense? So all those other pages, it might be pointing to an ad ID, but those aren't the actual entity properties. They're just, ancillary or third party, like inbound links, that type of stuff. If you're talking about syndicating, that's all I can assume. So again, if you can set up a redirect, that's great to point the old to the new ad ID. If you can't do that, or if that's not possible, then I would just make sure that on the entity properties themselves, that it's been manually edited to the correct ad ID. Marco, do you have any comments on that? That's not something I've tested, so I don't know.
No, I haven't tested, but I don't see why he should have any issues.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the only thing, sorry, but because all he's going to change is the ad ID URL that's already on the website, right?
Right.
And it's going to point somewhere else where everything lives. So I think that's perfectly fine.
Yep, that's what I think. Patrick says, does RYS method work for realtors and their listings? As far as I know, it works for everything. Comments?
Yeah. What I found with realtors is that there's usually an entity issue because they share office space with other entities, and we did it we tried it in Toronto, and it was very well. The competition in Toronto is ridiculous. Anyway, I tried it in another realtor and entity. I mean, the entity was a complete mess because the office was actually shared by 3 entities. So which one is the entity for that address? Now, if the entity is clear for whatever realtors it is that you're working for, meaning that they have a verified GMB and they're the sole company at that address, they don't share office space with other people who claim the address and the phone number, any 2 of the 3 points, right, of the NAP, which will cause massive issues if that's the case. So if that's not the case, and you do the GMB training correctly, and you develop the entity the way that you're supposed to, according to the RYS Black Book and some other stuff that I've been testing that I will be releasing. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting for one guy to let me know if we're going to work on a real estate project so that I can test it on real estate, because it's working in everything else. So I don't see why cleaning up the entity and working from the entity won't work for a realtor also. That's the only thing that I've seen with realtors is that, and with a few others, as a matter of fact, is that entity issues. When you're ambiguous with your entity, Google doesn't know who's who at the address, and then you got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And Patrick, just keep in mind the RYS method. Yes, it will work for realtors, other than what, you know, the stuff that Marco just mentioned. But keep in mind that in part of the reason I also, besides realtors, I just found to be incredibly difficult to work with. You're dealing with very high authority websites in the real estate industry that are incredibly aged, like, you know, Long and Foster and Century 21 and Remax and Zillow and Redfin and like all these different types of real estate types websites. It's a difficult, for SEO, it's a difficult industry to get into. Because you have, I mean, there's just so much massive authority accumulated on those sites that it's hard to break into the top 10, man. So again, there's a couple things that, you know, again, one, I found realtors incredibly painful to work with. And then the other, number 2, it's a difficult industry to be doing SEO in. I found like other traffic methods are probably better than just SEO. Like that's a long-term approach, but if you got to get results right away, I found paid traffic to be a hell of a lot more effective than SEO. Okay. Jonathan says, any recommendations where to purchase aged YouTube accounts for poking keywords? Yeah, look, I'm going to point this out. This is a provider that we've used, and he just messaged me and Skype the other day to tell me he's got more accounts available and everything, guys. Keep in mind, like this is one of the providers that I do endorse or recommend. I don't get any affiliate commission off of this, guys. His name is Anwar. He's a good guy. I know that some of our members that do a lot of high volume stuff where they need hundreds of accounts, then a lot of times issues can arise with creating that many. Now, I don't typically do like a ton of volume stuff. So usually I buy like 100 YouTube accounts at a time. And then, I end up only using about 40 or 50 of them anyways. And so like, I've never really experienced any problems. I'm not going to say never. I rarely experience problems with the accounts. However, like I said, some of the high volume users have had issues. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to drop this link on the page, guys. You can reach out to him and see what he has. We also have another provider. If you'd like, I'll as a matter of fact, I'm going to do it just to be fair. I'm going to put his on there as well. This guy. Let's see. And this guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he goes by MechoBiz, and he's got some good accounts too. So I'm going to put both of these here, guys, and reach out to them and chat with them via Skype or whatever, and find out which one's a better fit for you, and buy them from there if you'd like. Again, I endorse them, but I'm not associated with them. Does that make sense? Okay, D Card says, hey guys, I'm thinking about creating 3 lead gen sites which will be targeting 3 different niches. They will be built on subdomains. Do I need to create separate IFTTT network and ROI? Yes. If they're 3 different niches, yes. You're going to need to keep all that separate. It wouldn't make sense to commingle content from one niche to another on the same site. unless it was a very broad blog and everything was siloed really properly. And again, that's just too much of a headache. I would not recommend that. Separate that stuff. You build theme relevancy a lot quicker that way. Okay. Ryan, I know you guys discuss SEO mostly, but I have a marketing question. I am creating a video marketing course and membership site where YouTube will be a number one place I will have content. Should I create my products first and then start creating YouTube content or get the ball rolling with YouTube content as I work on my products? Thanks. That's a chicken or the egg scenario. I don't think it really matters. I really don't think that matters at all. In fact, I would personally, my own methodology, like my own process for this kind of stuff, is to get the product stuff in place first and then create the videos, because the video stuff requires a lot of time and editing. You know, I still do a lot of my editing myself. Hernan does too. We were just complaining about that the other day. And the problem is, if you do your videos while you're working on product development, if something changes in the products, you have to go back and redo the videos. And so I like to have the product stuff done first before I commit to recording and editing videos. That's my opinion. Anybody else have anything different?
No, I do the exact same thing. I'm actually trying to pivot out from editing myself just because of the fact that I'm kind of training a VA to get all of the editing done. So wherever I fuck up, I just, you know, with the ums and the A's and the whatever, or I just flap when they need to cut and paste. Yep. So that's a little bit more effective. But yeah, the process is the same.
Right. So there you go. All right. We're almost out of time. We'll try to get through just a couple more, guys. I'm sorry. We had a lot of questions today. Wow. It's crazy. A lot of questions today. All right. Armand is up. Hey, would you structure an agency site with two? How would you structure an agency site with two locations? Would you create a general service page, for example, agency/SEO? Then on that page, have the locations linked from that. Agency.com/SEO City 1, agency.com SEO City 2. Yeah, you can do that, Armand. In fact, that's we did a Hump Day Hangouts very recently with Jeffrey Smith and Tony Camaro. Was that last week, guys, or was it 2 weeks ago?
I think that was 2 or maybe 3 now.
Yeah, a couple of 3 weeks ago.
Okay. If somebody could, if one of you guys don't mind jumping in the YouTube channel, grab the full replay of that and just the URL for that, drop it on the page and tag Ryan on it, or excuse me, Armand on it. Armand, we had a webinar, Hump Day Hangout with Jeffrey Smith and Tony Camaro, Jeffrey Smith of SEO Bootcamp. Fantastic on-page course, the best I've ever seen. If you're thinking about, especially if you're an agency, man, if you don't have SEO Bootcamp, get it, because if you're an agency, this is incredibly valuable information for you. As an SEO agency guy, you should know this stuff. And so I highly recommend you pick it up, man. It is hands down the best on-page course. That said, we talked very specifically about just what you're asking on that webinar, the Hump Day Hangouts webinar. We talked about how to structure silos now as the better, more effective way that's not so spammy as duplicating pages on your site for every city. And it works. It works really well. It's a way to set up like you set up 2 different types of silos, right? You set up your service or product silos, product or service silos, and then you set up your location silos. And it's actually cross-linking between silos, which you typically don't do between like themes, like keyword themes. You don't want to cross-link between silos. But this is different because this is a location silo that cross-links to a service, product or service silo. So it's a little bit different, and Google will make the associations between those pages. And again, we covered that on the Hump Day Hangouts webinar on a conceptual level. If you want the actual like nitty-gritty, you need to get into that course, SEO Bootcamp, which will show you how to do that kind of stuff. Okay. All right, last one, Walt. I can't pass you up, Walt, just because you're in the mastermind and you send me emails a lot. Can we have more than our Google Analytics account? More than, I guess, one Google Analytics account monitoring a given website? In other words, can we put the verification HTML code from 2 Google accounts in the header or track analytics? I just had a crazy thought and was wondering. You know, I think you can, but I don't know if it skews data. Does anybody have an answer for that? A definitive answer?
I've never tried it.
I've never tried it either. I think you
worth a try.
Yeah, I think you can, but I'm afraid that it would skew data. That would be an interesting test, Walt. you could try it and see. I mean, you could literally put two separate analytics accounts, you know, the universal analytics code, or if you're using tag manager, just, you know, the UAID or whatever. And then, you know, go to the real-time stats tab in both accounts and send, you know, go visit it, send traffic through a proxy or something so you can see the IP and see if it's tracking real-time results for both. I don't know if it will or not. That's how I would test it. Okay. Fabian, sorry, buddy. We ran out of time, man. Love to answer your question, but we're going to have to answer it later. Looks like we got to most of them. All right.
And Armand, if you're watching, the link is on the page, so check that out. And then we'll put the link to SEO Bootcamp on the page too, so definitely check that out.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. All right, thanks for everybody being here. We'll see anybody that's local PR Pro members or purchasers. We're going to have the webinar tomorrow, so make sure you're there. It'll be a good one. Bring your questions. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Bye, everyone.